The mess hall of the Galactic Unity buzzed with the usual cacophony of a dozen different species attempting to communicate over dinner. Commander Zexthul clicked his mandibles in amusement as he watched the newest addition to their crew, a human called Marcus Chen, quietly eating what appeared to be compressed protein bars at the far end of the hall. "Look at the little pink thing," sneered Lieutenant Vorak, his massive Krillian frame casting a shadow over half the table. "Barely reaches my chest, and they expect us to believe his species conquered their entire solar system?" The assembled officers erupted in chittering laughter. Captain Thesra, her serpentine neck swaying with mirth, added, "I heard they claim to have something called special forces that can survive in any environment. Ridiculous. Their homeworld is practically a paradise compared to the death worlds. The rest of us evolved on." Marcus continued eating, seemingly oblivious to the conversation happening mere meters away. His weathered face remained impassive, though anyone paying close attention might have noticed the slight tightening around his eyes. "Oh, but you haven't heard the best part," Vorak continued, his voice booming across the mess hall. "They have. These legends about warriors who never surrender, who can fight for days without rest, who turn impossible odds into victories. They call them Marines, or something equally primitive." The laughter grew louder. Even the usually disciplined Zentaurian officers joined in, their crystalline voices adding a musical quality to the mockery. "Impossible biology," declared Dr. Quintar, the ship's Nexarian chief medical officer. "No species can function effectively after 72 hours without proper rest cycles. It's a physiological impossibility." Marcus stood slowly, his movements deliberate and controlled. The mess hall gradually fell silent as he approached their table, his footsteps oddly quiet for someone wearing standard-issue boots. "Excuse me," Marcus said, his voice calm and measured. "I couldn't help but overhear your discussion about human military capabilities." Vorak leaned back, his massive arms crossed. "Ah, the subject of our conversation graces us with his presence. Tell me, little human, which of these fantasies would you like to defend first?" Marcus smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both friendly and deeply unsettling. "Well, since you mentioned Marines specifically, I suppose I should mention that I served with the 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion for 12 years before joining the Unity Fleet." The silence stretched uncomfortably. Dr. Quintar was the first to recover. "Reconnaissance? You mean scouting? Hardly the warriors of legend your people claim to produce." "Force recon," Marcus corrected gently. "We were the ones they sent when the situation was deemed impossible." Captain Thesra's head tilted, genuine curiosity overriding her earlier derision. "Impossible how?" Marcus pulled up a chair and sat down uninvited, his movement still carrying that unsettling economy of motion. "Well, there was this one time on Kepler 442b. My team of 6 was tasked with extracting a downed pilot from behind enemy lines. The planet had 1.8 times Earth gravity, surface temperatures averaging 40 Celsius, and was crawling with about 3,000 hegemony troops." "6 against 3,000? Vorak scoffed. "In hostile environment gear, I assume?" Actually, no. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out what looked like a worn photograph. "This was during the early colonial wars. We didn't have proper environmental suits yet. Just standard combat gear and whatever we could improvise." The image showed 6 humans in primitive-looking armor, their faces barely visible through frost-covered visors. Behind them stretched a landscape that looked like it belonged on a frozen hell world. "Impossible," Dr. Quintar muttered, examining the photo. The caloric requirements alone. We went 4 days without resupply, Marcus continued conversationally. No food after day 2, melting ice for water. Rodriguez, that's him on the left, had a broken leg from the insertion jump. Williams took shrapnel from a proximity mine on day 3, still carried Rodriguez on his back for the last 18 clicks. The mess hall had gone completely quiet now. Even the kitchen staff had stopped their work to listen. The extraction point was a cliff face about 200 meters high, Marcus said, his voice never changing tone. Pilot was trapped on a ledge halfway up, hegemony forces converging from 3 directions. So we did what Marines do. Which was? Captain Thessera asked, her earlier mockery forgotten. We improvised. Marcus stood again, that same fluid motion. Henderson, our demolitions expert, created a distraction with half our remaining explosives, drew about 2/3 of their forces off. The rest of us free-climbed the cliff in a blizzard, extracted the pilot, and rappelled down using paracord. And improvised anchors. Vorak leaned forward despite himself. What about the hegemony forces? Oh, they were still there when we reached the bottom, about 800 of them, all very unhappy. Marcus's smile widened slightly. That's when things got interesting. Dr. Quintar's scanner beeped insistently as he ran it over Marcus. His expression grew increasingly bewildered as he studied the readings. Your stress hormones are completely normal, he said slowly. Heart rate steady, brain activity consistent with casual conversation. Either you're lying or what, Doc? Or discussing what should be the most traumatic experience of your life affects you no more than ordering breakfast. Marcus shrugged. It was a Tuesday. We had worse Tuesdays. The silence that followed was different from before. It was the quiet of predators recognizing another predator, the hushed attention of warriors recognizing something they'd previously missed. How many of you made it out? Captain Thessera asked quietly. All of us, Marcus replied. Rodriguez needed 3 months of physical therapy for his leg, but we all made it home. The pilot, too. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Lieutenant Vorak? You asked about the 72-hour thing. My personal record is actually 96 hours, but that was just an exercise. In real combat, adrenaline and purpose can push those numbers quite a bit higher. As Marcus walked away, Dr. Quintar stared at his scanner readings in bewilderment. According to this, he's telling the truth. All of it. Commander Zexthul, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, finally spoke. Perhaps we should reconsider our assumptions about human legends. Vorak nodded slowly, his earlier bravado completely gone. Perhaps we should. From across the mess hall, Marcus raised his protein bar in a mock toast, that unsettling smile still playing across his features. The assembled alien officers suddenly found their own meals far more interesting than they had been moments before. The legends, it seemed, were true after all.